Report, and today we are going to talk about the theme of the 2026 Burning Man. So let me share my screen and we will go visit and see what they are up to. So it's not taking me, oh, here it is. So the Burning Man theme is Axis Mundi. Uh, the, the it's basically the cosmic or universal tree that links us supposedly in pagan cultures one to another in an unseen and unknowable way. Let's read more about it. Here is the logo for the tree. Has a very interesting points if you look at it. It's where a place, this tree is an ancient tree. And in most, just like with Noah's Ark, with the flood covering the world, this was a place believed in many different cultures and religions where heaven touched the earth, but also the underworld. But if you look at this tree, the roots are DNA. Just wanted to point that out, just in case you were curious. The world tree rises at the center of the cosmos, its roots in the underworld, its branches in the heavens, its trunk in the middle world of men. So here it talks about the different cultures that talk about this cosmic pillar or tree. And we're going to go down, find out a little bit more. It ties in with history and cosmology, things that are sacred and profaned, and the unanchored from the cosmic tree is suddenly unmoored in the world. So basically, they see the people at Burning Man are the people that are participants in the agenda that we're seeing play out before us. And so, in their version, it is basically a Jacob's ladder connecting us with the unseen and unknowable. It functions as the Axis Mundi of our far-flung world. And then I thought that this was interesting down here. As Lee Harvey wrote in the 10 Principles, we make the world through actions that open the heart. And what does the military? It's winning hearts and minds. So if you look up Harry or Larry Harvey's 10 Principles, you can find it is very interesting. And it goes back, it's supposedly the world's oldest tree, and it goes back to earliest time to the mitochondrial eve of us all. And basically, and through magic constructs, they want to change. Let's see if I can get this a different way. Magical constructs of social reality. We imagine ourselves as standing apart from the natural world and increasing apart from each other as well, divided by borders and further fragmented by custom and belief into tribelets of ideology, each suspicious and distrustful of the other, and still divided into content feeds in a social network, one human to a screen connected only by a dubious proxy. So if Burning Man can be said to have a meaning in this fractured world, it is to remind us through our collective actions that we are not alone, that we are part of something larger. And it goes on and on. I just want you to be aware it would be good for you to explore what in depth what the theme for Burning Man is. It's a lot like The Economist magazine. There's a lot of little things that you can find about what is going to unfold in our world this year. So I'm going to see if I'm still playing. Hi everyone. I just brought up my chats. I couldn't do it when I was when I was doing my presentation and showing you the website. Yes, Montana Deb, Gaia does use that tree, but many other ancient cultures, it's just like Noah's Ark. Almost all cultures have a story about the deluge. And so is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Many different religions and cultures also have that tree. Of course, the tree that the Burning Man is referring to is the pagan or the counterfeit tree of knowledge of good and evil. So, Mary Ellen, yes, there are Christians that go to Burning Man. They also go to, there's a big biker conference, a big convention in, let's see, South Dakota. I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, there's a Christian ministry that goes there. You're really getting your feet wet with this technical stuff. Some yes, some no. I do actually. Let me just duck off for half a minute. There is breaking news. I might as well do a breaking news on this live since I finally got here. So hold on just a second. I have to, let's see, I'll duck out for just a minute and then I'm going to share my screen again. Oops. Okay, let me share my screen again. So as I was getting ready for today, I received an emergency alert from the USDA, and it was a new world screwworm. It was just released this morning. This is the response playbook. If you remember, in about 2006, there was a pandemic playbook. There has also been a like an avian flu playbook, but now we have the new world screwworm, and basically, pardon my French, it's going to screw with all of us, quite frankly. The target audience is for animal health officials, which basically means that it is going to be for all of us. They are going to step up response and surveillance. There is going to be outbreak response activities. That's the animal version of ICE. There is going to be confirmation. You are going to be seeing containment. You are going to be seeing control actions, and you are going to be seeing eradication, which is basically depopulation. So this is the playbook. The fly, at least I think it was a week or 2 weeks ago, it was like 70 miles from the border in Mexico, working its way north. It basically impacts all warm-blooded animals. This is really important. It will be in humans, domestic animals, and wildlife. That's why they are going to take incredible action on it, and they formed this playbook. So basically, the fly lands on a wound on a human, an animal, or wildlife, and then it lays its eggs, and then it starts to, then it germinates, and it is a really bad disease. So what they're going to do is everything from like a concentration camp for your farm, isolation, containment, to actually depopulating the animals, which was developed in 1990 by it was beta tested in Australia. It's called the stamping out. Let's see, the the first playbook was the stamping out manual, and so they will be using a version of this. If you want to find the playbook yourself, after this broadcast, I will go ahead and put the link. So these are some of the strategies that they're going to use. They're going to use all sorts of pesticides. They're going to use biopesticides. They're going to be using synthetic biology. They're going to release supposedly sterile flies. There's going to be active tracking and passive surveillance. You're not going to have any, if they think that your premises is infected, it is going to require euthanasia and disposal of your animals. I don't know what they're going to do about infected humans. Does that mean they're going to do euthanasia and disposal for humans? They want to manage in a coordinated response all communications with stakeholders and the public. This playbook tells you what you are going to hear about and their authorization, under what authority can they do this and take these measures. Of course, this has been long in the works, and they fleshed it out with like avian flu and SARS and all these different things. So this is what they'll do. This is pretty comprehensive. If I were you, I would probably, if you have animals, or even if you live in a rural area, I would download this. It is only 26 pages, and you'll learn a lot about if this fly comes to visit your area, and brace yourself. It's on its way. If not naturally, it might be coming your way just by planting. I remember when, what was that? What was the mosquito at the time? West Nile fever. So there was a bunch of shipping containers in Portland, Oregon. And this is back when I worked at the agencies. And we heard that one mosquito with West Nile fever was found in the shipping container. Now, you all know how big a shipping container is. How did they know and track down one mosquito that just happened to be infected with West Nile? And from there, it spread across the United States pretty quickly. So let's see. If you've got a question and you asked it earlier, I didn't, as I was presenting, I didn't do it. So if you have a question, put a question mark. And if you put it in now, then I can answer it. If you have a question about the screwworm response plan and what you might see, Amber, I will go ahead as soon as the stream ends and it renders. I will put the link to that playbook in the description, so you'll have it. Yes, Amber, we were born for such a time as this. Well, Elizabeth, thank you. God bless you. I mean, I've been trying to battle, and I was going to do a series of shorts, and the technology, like every week it changes, and I'm just not much with keeping up on all of that. How do you keep up with the news? Try and put it in a way to present it, and then all of a sudden your whole, like, how you broadcast changes, like where you put the pictures, the buttons that you do. It's really very time consuming, much more time consuming than actually the research and putting it all together. So what essential animals would you use for your animals for the screwworm? I would, for the screwworm, you might, most insects don't like citrus, so you might try your citrus. Be very careful of like hot oils. Oregano oil, things like that are hot, and if the animal the fly is going to a wounded area. And don't forget, it can be on you as well if you're out doing yard work or whatever. And if you have a wound on your hand or your leg or your face or whatever. So be careful of hot oils. If you do want to use a hot oil like oregano, you would have to use a carrier a carrier oil of some type that would kind of dilute the oil so that it didn't burn. So let's see. Yes, Amber, we are protected by the blood of Jesus. Sometimes we need a little help from our friends, like essential oils, or beware of the synthetic things that will come out. I have heard that they are going to step up the. I don't have my apple. Just pretend that this is an apple. They're going to uh, step up the response for all animals across the board. So things that you will be getting commercially will have that added benefit to them. Just know. Let's see if there's any other questions. Let's see. Sounds like the bot fly. Yeah, it is a lot like the bot fly. Good observation. Let's see. Eleanor. So I was on last week. I was still So the deal is I got my harvest done and I was so excited I could do shorts, I could come on live more frequently. And then what happened was I got mice. So my sister and I were busy um, taking care of our mice issues. And so those are all done. And now I can just enjoy the fall and the winter, if the winter ever comes to North Dakota, which is that's kind of an oxymoron, but it looks like we've got 65 degrees through, coming into November, which is crazy. Let's see. I'm not seeing any other questions. Let me go back down to the bottom. Okay, well, yeah, Montana Deb, yeah. The enemy does hate us. So that's you're either on one side, you're loved by one side and hated by the other. It's just part of life. So Montana Deb, so I use that old Norwegian recipe, and it is a cup of calcium hydroxide and a cup of very fresh aromatic rye flour. And why rye? It could be anything that's very aromatic that would attract the mice. And I put it in a narrow mouth jar, and the reason is that way dogs and cats can't get into it, but the mice can get into it. And that's what I use for my protection. But I also, I have some stuff in bags and that type of stuff. And so I put all of those in tubs just so that we didn't have any casualties in the house. I didn't want to go to be like old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard and the cupboard was bare. Didn't want that. So that's what we did. Nice seeing you, Kat. There's more to come, especially as I figure out the technology part. I just, we were born for such a time as this, but I'm not sure about the technology part. I'm not sure about that. Uh, I don't know what the MTHF kid formula has to do with the flies, the screwworm. Not sure. Maybe you're talking about something else. Was the screwworm introduced on purpose? I believe that it had a little help from their friends, especially when I see the response and that it has an official playbook and all of that. I do believe it. No, they don't want us to have livestock or gardens or animals or anything. Let's see. You're lucky and blessed, Amber, that you have kids to help you with the technology. I don't have that. So it's trial and error and blood, sweat, and tears, I can tell you. Uh, let's see. Paul Levis, none of their plans ever work. Not according to their plan. They work to some degree, and it's incremental. But I do believe that we are in the days of the end days. So it is going to be interesting. Let's see. Celeste, Elizabeth, Celeste is talking about something else. So the next thing, well, I'm gonna try it. Let's just switch gears, switch it up again for a minute. Oh, Montana Deb, and then I'll switch it up. Uh, Diatomaceous earth to mitigate whiteflies. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I've had mixed success, but that is what I use in the garden. I don't bother with really anything else. And but I do put stuff in greenhouses, which has been really was a blessing this year. Okay, we're going to yes, you're gonna Olivia, you're gonna be able to watch it afterwards. It may have to render for a few minutes, but you will be able to watch it. Nice to have you. So let me just share my screen again. So that means I have to go to share screen. And we're going to go to blockchain and the digital ID. And why is it doing that when it's supposed to be something else? Let me stop sharing. And then I'm going to duck out for a minute. And why is it? Blockchains.com. Why are you? Okay, now I will share my screen. Hold on. If I can find my cursor. Cursor. I know I've gotten a lot of questions about the blockchain, so let's go into the blockchains. Ah, this one. Okay. So if you remember my coverage back in 2018, blockchains did a 3-day coming out party in 2018, just about the year that like the military and stuff were doing the transhumanist thing. So this is their website. So I'm giving you the actual real blockchains. This is a primary source. So they are now giving very simplifying their messaging to all of us. They are building a digital world that was built for extraction. What does extraction mean? It means have already begun, and I would say are probably 3/4 of the way through extracting original design life. The rest of the life or the rest of what you were seeing is part hybrid, part synthetic biology, but we are in the process of being depopulated. Why? And they're very bold, as you can see, it's in big letters. We're rebuilding it for autonomy. And autonomy means for silicon, you can't say life because it's not life, but silicon robots, things, nothing from nature, and it would be without humans uh, and animals and really even plants and or microbes. So they're very open and frank about it. They're coming out of the closet on it. And what is the fuel for this coming out process that the blockchains is going to be using? It fuel your personal information fuels the entire industries. I want you to think about that for a minute. Your data, your identity, your privacy is they power the billion-dollar platforms. But the people behind the data, they rarely share in its value. So what they are going to promise you is that the institutional control should be yours. So they're promising you that they're building something different, but that is not the truth. They are saying that a future where your digital identity belongs to you. Now, understand that the UN a year ago said that they were going to unfold this digital compact, and they talked about the digital identity, and that if you were in this synthetic digital twin, your identity would belong to you. But if you were in the physical realm and did not go into the synthetic virtual twin, um, then you would have your identity would not belong to you. It would belong to the government or the powers that be, and they could do whatever they wish with you. They were pretty frank at the UN if you went into their paperwork about the digital compact, that this is what they were going to do. But you see how they play with words. They say that in this blockchains that you set the rules, maintain control, and actually benefit from your own data. What they are saying, they speak it with forked tongue. It is only when you are in the synthetic virtual twin that you get to set the rules, maintain control, and own your data. In the physical realm, if you do not be, you're not a part of that system, then they make the rules, they control, and they benefit from your data. So, what are we going to see in the future coming up? Verifiable credentials. Eventually, that's going to end up as implantable or etched into us. Many of you know as the mark of the beast. There's going to be trusted digital experiences. You are going to find, if you are not compliant with everything, that you will not have a trusted digital experience. So just realize that there's a cost if you do not participate and comply. And so I want you to look at this, and I'll comment on it. Technology made you the product. They made you a product back in 2000. Bill Gates was a big player, but there were other big players. But now they're saying, let's make you the owner. But remember, they will only make you the owner if you go into the synthetic virtual twin, and we know who the owner of that is. You will actually be a slave in that system. And then here's some of the team members that are bringing this to us. So, does anyone have any questions about blockchains? Let's see, Chickadee. Nice to have you here. Off topic, but do you think there is livable land in and beyond Antarctica and they know about it, but we don't? Yes, I do. That's just my own personal opinion. Have I been to Antarctica? No. But I do believe that there are many fascinating and wonderful things. If you want to see a really uplifting, YouTube is he's deceased now. He was a young man that did desert exploration and actually some mountainous stuff too. Is desert drifter. Desert drifter. Let's see. Yes, I belong to God too. That's why we can't go into the synthetic virtual twin. Montana Deb, yes, Amazon is replacing 75%. I don't know the exact percentage of their employees with robots. That's why. And that's also why we saw the 2020, what we saw happen in 2020. That way, it made room. There were less humans, and that way there was room for more robots. Um, Do you keep money in the bank and do you diversify? I think that's not a very wise thing to say where your money is. So, Montana Deb, I'm not going to share. Actually, my biggest investment, quite frankly, is out in my garden. I just bought a fortune in seeds, and they tripled in price. So, if you have not gotten your seeds, I spend January 1st ordering my seeds, and if you don't get them by January 20th, you might not get your favorite seeds or trees or plants or whatever, because there is a shortage. So I did. You can get seeds. Usually you can't get seeds this time of year, but I just ordered all my seeds for the next couple years. So that's kind of where I put mine. So, I don't want to go hungry in the days ahead, and I like all that really good food that I make. And if you want to follow me on my Telegram, I show you, right. Yesterday I talked about paprika, and I show you all my canning projects and what I do with it. And actually, after this, I'm going to go can some sauerkraut. So, got to take care of those cabbages, and have some fermented food, which is really good for your body. Let's see. Well, we'll see you later, Amber. Um, You can watch this afterwards. Let's see. I'll go back down here. Question. The best, the best. Hold on. Okay, I'll just ignore it. Sorry about my cell phone. If I bring it in here, it rings. The best colloidal silver to buy. I'm not a big colloidal silver person. I think it's dangerous with the metals because we have a change of magnetism going on in our bodies, and especially as the magnetosphere is changing. So just be really careful with that, with any metals. Let's see, where do you order your seeds from? I order them all over the place. I like, let's see, my favorites are Baker Creek, rareseeds.com. I like Victory. So if you can't find them at Baker because they only keep the for about 2 years, then they switch their stock. So you can go to Victory, and I just put in a huge order there. And Irish Eyes, they have organic, and you can buy them in bulk. And I like wild boar tomatoes. And if you haven't ever grown wild boar tomatoes, they are so much fun. There's ones that look like a sunset or a sunrise. There's striped ones. There's wild and crazy Brad's atomic grape is just like this crazy tie-dye little grape tomato. And so I love it. They have high, high let's see, the blackish color in it. I can't think of the name right now. Anyway, it's good antioxidant. It's a great antioxidant, anything with the darker colors. So I do grow a lot of black tomatoes and carrots. They're not black, and some of them are like have a beautiful burgundy with kind of a blackish. So they're very healthy. Let's see. Chickadee, most places that you're going to see in the future are going to be robotic. I mean, that's just the way that it is. Oh yes, I love the Cherokee tomatoes. I love the heart tomatoes. I love brandy wines. I love Amish paste because I make all my own tomato sauce and paste. And let's see, next week I'm making my barbecue sauce. So, like this week is sauerkraut, next week is barbecue sauce and ketchup. So, Jean LaBeau. So, we started so a friend of mine was a caregiver in the 1990s, and she did have one of her people die that she was caring for, and they couldn't find her relatives right away, so they put her in like a, a, a moving van with refrigeration. for like a long time. And they eventually did track down some distant relative of hers and they did get her buried. But who knows what happens to people that they don't find their their loved ones. So I don't know. So next week, if truth be told, I am going to do a short on dogs next week. It's a special. You need to know it, but I'm not gonna spill the beans. I gotta have something for next week. So I'm already collecting my news for next week to share with you. It's nothing earth shattering like the new world screwworm. I just got that like at 11:45 this morning. So I felt that it was important because it had that playbook. So anyway, I think I'm going to sign off for now, and I will put links in the description once it gets done rendering. Thank you so much. I hope and pray that you all have a super blessed weekend, that you come back next week and that we can study and learn together, and that you will be really refreshed and enjoying the nice fall that many of us are having right now. So may God bless each one of you and your homes, your family, your loved ones, and your pets and your livestock. Until next week, I will see you again next week. And so I'm going to sign off. God bless. Bye.